It started with a tradition, one of those things K-pop fans do every month just to feel a little closer to their idols. Selca Day. You know the drill. Fans post selfies, idols post selfies, everyone feels connected for a few hours. It's usually harmless, it's usually cute. But this month, for Stray Kids and Bang Chan, the vibe shifted from playful to something else entirely, and nobody is quite sure how to handle the aftermath. The problem didn't start with a scandal or a leak. It started with a comment. Bang Chan was scrolling through fan posts on Bubble, the paid messaging app where idols talk directly to fans, and he dropped a casual remark. He said the photos look fine, just fine. That should have been the end of it. But then a specific photo caught his eye, or at least that's how the timeline played out online. A fan posted a picture of herself in a revealing outfit, the kind that usually gets lost in the shuffle. But this one gained traction fast. Maybe it was the caption, maybe it was the boldness of it, but it didn't go unnoticed. Before long, Bang Chan was back on Bubble, and the tone had changed. He posted a message that felt like a direct response to what he was seeing. He wrote that there were many fan recreation photos that he personally wasn't allowed to copy himself. Read the room. It's a weird thing to say to your fandom, right? It's acknowledging that he's looking at these, really looking at them, and that there are boundaries he can't cross. The fan in the revealing outfit didn't back down, though. In fact, she seemed energized by it. She posted on her own account, visibly excited, openly speculating that Bang Chan was watching her on Twitter. She wrote that she wanted him. That is a heavy sentence to put out into the universe when you're talking about a global pop star. Most of the time, that stuff stays in the group chats or the comments section where it can be ignored. But she said it. She put it right there on her main. And then Bang Chan responded again. This is where it stops being a standard idol-fan interaction and starts feeling like a public negotiation. He responded indirectly on Bubble, teasing her. He joked about her saying she wanted him, clarifying that if she meant she wanted a photo, he had already posted one the day before. It was playful, sure, but it was undeniably a two-way street. He wasn't just speaking to the crowd anymore, he was engaging with her. The exchange kept going back and forth. He kept replying in ways that were clearly linked to her specific posts without ever tagging her name. It felt intimate in a way that made a lot of people squint at their screens. It pushed the boundary of what we're used to seeing from an idol who is usually careful, almost overprotective of his privacy, and the line between him and the audience. But things really hit a wall when the fan decided to push her luck. She suggested a trade. She would post her photos if he posted a thirst trap in exchange. Let that sink in for a second. A fan publicly negotiating for an idol to post sexually suggestive content of himself in return for her own. And Bang Chan actually responded to it. He didn't block her. He didn't ignore it. He posted another message on Bubble that read like a hard shutdown, stating firmly that he could not post that kind of photo. It was the sound of brakes being slammed, but the car had already been speeding down the wrong road for miles. By the time he said no, the transactional nature of the interaction had already been established. He engaged, she offered a deal, he refused. That is the sequence of events that unfolded in real time for thousands of fans to watch. Once screenshots of this back and forth hit the broader internet, the atmosphere in the fandom turned toxic almost immediately. It wasn't just a debate anymore, it was a war. On one side, you had people looking at this with absolute disbelief. They saw a power imbalance that was being exploited. The argument here is pretty straightforward. Bang Chan is an idol. He holds a position of influence and authority. Even if he's trying to be the chill leader, engaging in a public, semi-flirtatious negotiation with a single fan is dangerous territory. It validates the idea that if you are loud enough, if you are bold enough, you can get the idol to play your game. Critics argued that regardless of whether Bang Chan thought he was joking, encouraging a fan who is openly declaring they want you isn't just unprofessional. It destabilizes the entire ecosystem of the fandom. It forces other fans to watch while one person gets special treatment, and it blurs the line between a public figure and a private individual. And, as predicted, the spotlight turned into a heat lamp for that fan. The attention she received from Bang Chan didn't just make her day, it painted a target on her back. Other fans, whether out of concern or something pettier, started tearing her apart. The harassment was intense. People tried to discredit her, claiming the photo was AI generated, accusing her of faking her involvement, or just generally dragging her name through the mud for daring to interact with him in that way. Her account eventually got restricted, but the damage was done. The cycle completed itself. The idol engaged the fan got bold, the fandom punished the fan, and the idol stepped back. It's a messy, ugly loop that highlights exactly why idols are usually told to ignore this stuff. But then the counter-narrative kicked in, and it was equally aggressive. A large portion of the Stray Kids fan base rallied behind Bang Chan and the fan, screaming down anyone who had a problem problem with it. Their defense was rooted in a few key facts. 1. Bang Chan is an adult. 2. The fan is an adult. 3. Nobody held a gun to anyone's head. From this perspective, the interaction was entirely consensual. They argued that we are living in a different era now where the idol doesn't have to be a distant, robotic saint. If Bang Chan wants to banter with a fan on a paid messaging app, why is that a crime? They pointed to his tone, the laughter, the teasing, as proof that he was just keeping it light. He wasn't flirting. He was being his chaotic self. To them, the backlash felt like a massive overcorrection, a bunch of people projecting their own hang-ups onto a situation that was at worst a little cringe, but ultimately harmless. This is where the conversation got nasty. Defenders started accusing the critics of something specific: jealousy. The narrative became that people weren't actually worried about boundaries or power dynamics. They were just bitter that they weren't the ones getting attention from Bang Chan. It's a classic, "you're just mad it wasn't you" defense. And while it's dismissive, it stuck. It shut down a lot of nuanced conversation because nobody wants to admit to jealousy. If you question the interaction, you're labeled a hater. If you support it, you're labeled a delusional. There was no middle ground left. The fandom fractured into two camps shouting past each other, while Bang Chan stayed mostly silent after that final "I cannot post that kind of photo" message. It's frustrating to watch because both sides make points that get lost in the noise. Yes, they are adults. Yes, they can technically do what they want on a private messaging platform, but context exists. Being an adult doesn't erase the power dynamic. Bang Chan represents a brand, a group, and a company. When he speaks even casually, it carries weight that a random fan's words don't. Singling out one fan, indirectly or not, creates a hierarchy. It tells everyone else watching that the barrier to entry is lower than they thought. It signals that if you push the envelope, the idol might just push back. That is a dangerous game to play with a fan base as large and passionate as Stray Kids. It encourages the exact kind of bold behavior that led to this entire mess in the first place. You can't complain about parasocial relationships being unhealthy while simultaneously feeding them with direct personal responses. On the flip side, the harassment the fan received was undeniably out of line. If the argument is that Bang Chan should have protected boundaries, the fans should have respected them too. Instead, they bullied her into silence, proving that the fandom itself is often more of a threat to an individual fan's well-being than the idol ever is. It's ironic. The people claiming to protect the sanctity of the fan-idol relationship were the ones tearing it apart by attacking one of their own. It leaves you wondering what the end goal was here. Did they want him to stop being friendly? Do they want him to never read the comments? Or do they just want to control who gets to have fun? What makes this whole situation exhausting is that it didn't need to happen. Selca Day is supposed to be a celebration. Bang Chan is known for his honesty and his connection with Stay, and that is usually his strength. He treats fans like friends. But this time, that approach backfired. It showed the razor-thin line between being a relatable idol and being a guy in his late 20s engaging in questionable public banter. The thirst trap comment was the breaking point. It took the interaction from banter to transaction. It made it feel like he was negotiating his own image in exchange for fan content. And when he said no, it felt less like a boundary set and more like a deal that fell through. The silence from the company, JYP Entertainment, is also telling. They haven't issued a statement, and they probably won't. They know that addressing it directly only shines a brighter light on the awkwardness of it all. They're likely hoping the cycle moves on, that the next comeback or the next scandal will wipe this from the collective memory. But for the fans watching this unfold in real time, the discomfort lingers. It changes how you read his bubble messages. It makes you question every joke he makes. Is he just being funny, or is he engaging with someone who is crossing a line? At the end of the day, this isn't a court case. There's no law broken here. It's just a collision of expectations. One side expects the idol to maintain a professional distance at all times. The other side expects the idol to be a human being who can crack jokes and handle awkward situations. Bang Chan tried to be the human, and he got burned for it.